Good evening and welcome to Viewpoint. Tonight we bring you two in-depth reports. With global tax and criminal cross-border investigations set to increase, how ready is Gibraltar? We hear from US, Isle of Man and local experts on the global movement towards greater tax transparency and its possible impact on business on the Rock. But first we bring you the story of Charlie Conroy, the man dubbed the father of martial arts in Gibraltar. After more than 50 years nurturing judo locally, the 71-year-old received our Lifetime Achievement Award this week. Charlie's love affair with martial arts started in 1961, shortly after joining the Merchant Navy as a teenager.
And he was the pioneer, if you like, of all this movement in Gibraltar. One has to remember that in the 60s, when he started all these, there weren't, days prior to the GSLA, there were no funding, no facilities, no clubs, nobody to train with. And I think that at the time he started in a place which was a little better than a shed, really. It was what used to be called a lavadero.
He started in the early 60s. One of the only martial arts there was the forces. And he started the martial arts in Gibraltar.
In fact, I was about 10 years old when my father decided to take me into the dojo where Charlie was giving instructions on judo and self-defense. So we go back a very long time.
He started there on his own, and soon enough he started getting more and more members and more people interested, and he trained during those periods when he was a single man, when he was married, when my brother and I were children. Remember, he used to go off to England often and to Spain to train. So through generations and decades, he's been very determined.
"53 years practicing martial arts in Gibraltar. You started off with judo, that was your first love.
Yes.
What drew you to that sport?
Well, what drew me to it was a brown belt on I was a merchant and a galley boy in the Merchant Navy and the Macandrew lines on the Valdez. And whilst in London, I was given a hiding in the underground. I was really battered up. And one of the crew members of the ship was a brown belt in judo. And he took me to a club and I started practicing then. When I left the Merchant Navy, came back to Gibraltar, I couldn't find any clubs, but I was lucky enough that there was Don Brown, a petty officer from the Navy, who had a club started up at Naval Hospital. And there was locals there then, like Jimmy Ramage, the Norton brothers, and quite a lot of other people, locals, that joined this judo club. And I joined it as well. But that lasted a couple of years and then it faded away. And I started the local club.
Charlie travelled to Portsmouth, London, Morocco and Seville to train before earning his black belt with the British Judo Association in 1966. With little competition, his career soon focused on coaching. And with Bruce Lee films hitting the silver screen, interest in martial arts boomed and his classes were full to capacity.
I spoke to Charlie Conroy, who's recently been awarded a medal and certificates for Jiu-Jitsu by the World Federation. Charlie, you've been involved in judo for a very, very long time. Can you tell us exactly how long?
About 24 years. I've been teaching 20 years.
Martial arts didn't exist in Gibraltar at the time. So when he came, he was already a Dan grade in judo. He was also very involved in karate and became a black belt in karate, which are some facets that people forget. And he's also the founder of Jiu-Jitsu in Gibraltar.
I was pretty impressed when I arrived because I'd come from London, and in London there are two big clubs and I was a member of one of them. And funny enough, it was a club that Charlie had trained at when he was in England. And I was amazed to find that for the size of Gibraltar, it had such a thriving club. And it became clear to me it was down to Charlie.
And it is a sacrifice because, my father spent all the time in the club. As a child, I remember after school, you'd go and train, do the first lesson, and then just wait for my dad. My dad would be there, my mum would be at the club. So yes, I mean, my mum obviously had to make a lot of sacrifices as well to adjust to the whole thing. But it's something that is who my father is, you know, and he wouldn't do it any other way. He's got this method of instruction, like that he teaches, you know, and the kid will get the throw, whatever he's teaching, right away.
I always found that Charlie had indeed an eagle's eye and was very quickly in distinguishing, you know, whether a person was here for recreation or he was looking at his philosophical side to the martial arts, or whether it was that you were a fighter. And he was very sharp in these things and very quickly knew the place where to take this person, how to instruct him, teach him, or coach him, you know?
Judo players are a bit sort of ephemeral in a way. They come and they do bursts, and then they may be off for a little while. And in order to run a successful club, you need somebody with the patience and the perseverance to be here at all times. But you need the consistent Charlie Conroys to be here all the time, or you couldn't have a club like this going.
It has always impressed me the amount of hundreds, if not thousands, of kids, especially if you go back in the 60s and 70s, where you would have found that there wasn't so many clubs or things to do and entertain kids.
I'd go so far as to say, from what I've seen, that the reason judo has survived and thrived in Gibraltar is because of Charlie Conroy. Immense dedication. Not all good judo players are good teachers, but Charlie is a good teacher.
He's a wonderful teacher. The best we've had here, the best. Thanks to Charlie, the club is what it is now.
I think it's tremendous. I think, from what I've seen since I've been here, there's been under-recognition of Charlie. He has put generations of, I mean, a number of people I've met who said, oh yes, they're adults now, but we went through Charlie Conroy's club. And he's put generations of people through here.
He's been doing it now for nearly 55 years, and countless of people stop me in the streets and say, oh, I've been coached by your father, I've done judo with your father, and we're talking about people ranging from 60-odd, 70 to 4 or 5-year-old kids these days. So we're talking about generations and generations of people that have been taught by him in Gibraltar.
I started when I was 3 years old with him. And not only is he my brother, but he's also a friend and a father figure. He's been a father figure for all the generations that's been through the club.
After so many years of having taken all these many kids in and taken them off the streets.
Here in Gibraltar, you know, we've got nothing to envy any clubs that come from abroad, because we are on par with all the clubs that come here. You know, the standard is there, thanks to Charlie again.
If somebody doesn't know a technique, he goes over and over till the person gets it correct. So he's very, very patient.
Something that's always caught my attention about Charlie is the flexibility that he's had with people throughout the years, you know, meeting so many characters.
And a very good thing for children when they come along here, because judo teaches you discipline, teaches you respect for other people. Very rarely you would find anybody in judo who will be a bully, because they know that it isn't just a question of dishing out physical punishment. You also, as a judo player, have to take it, and take it with good grace.
Perfect role model, I think, because what he taught me very much is discipline, being humble, and more importantly, working really hard to achieve. But more importantly, for me as well, as what my dad taught me, was that it's not about the grade, it's not about the medal, it's about what you give into the art, that love that you have for the art, and fulfill it fully, and then the art will reward you back.
So you've been practicing yourself, you've played judo for many, many years, but you've also been teaching.
Yes.
Do you prefer one or the other?
I prefer teaching, but of course I also love competing, because you have that energy fighting. But unfortunately, being as it was in Gibraltar, if I didn't teach, I wouldn't be able to practice, because there was nobody to practice with. When the frontier was open, I used to cross over to Seville, and I used to go on weekends there, in the Club Kodokan in Seville, and practice there as well. Also depended on the Navy and the ships that came in. In those days there was a lot of Royal Navy, and the Netherlands Navy used to come to Gibraltar. And I used to go on board the ships and ask if there was anybody interested in judo. And I was very lucky because in nearly all of them there was always either a black belt or a brown belt or a group of people who did judo, and then I used to train with them. And that used to keep me up to date.
Charlie worked with the Royal Gibraltar Police, instructing officers in self-defence and the use of proper restraint, as well as in riot training. He was often called upon to deal with difficult situations, serving as Sir Joshua Hassan's bodyguard during one such period.
I remember in the police days, you know, any problems in the streets or whatever, they always used to call Charlie. Charlie used to go there and, you know, he used to sort things out.
Well, I think it's absolutely amazing that, you know, he has kept this going for as long as he has, and he and I are about the same age, and the fact that he's still on the mat, I mean, sadly, age and injury bowed me out about 10 years ago. But Charlie is still here virtually every night, and I think it's remarkable.
Live incidents used to be called, well, the Navy in them days, it was Old Navy, and you know, we used to have a lot of fights and all that, but Charlie used to have ways of getting into and sorting the problem. On the mat, well, I'll tell you something, not just then, but now, I wouldn't mess about with him. Although he's 71 years of age, I wouldn't mess about with him.
In 1981, Charlie travelled to Tokyo to receive his third Dan black belt, presented to him by Prince Naruhiko Higashikumi of Japan. His dedication to the youth and services to the public were recognised in 1990 with a British Empire Medal.
What not many people know is that my father was also asked actually to leave Gibraltar in his prime to go and tour the world to teach martial arts with the professors of the International Federation, of which he refused because he wouldn't want to leave the club down or Gibraltar. So he's completely sacrificed everything. He's never done it for the money or any rewards.
But I think about practicing the martial arts, it gives you a discipline within yourself, it gives you confidence, and it also it teaches you in a way that you know what you're capable of, and therefore you would restrain from using violence against people. Many people think that a martial artist is this big thug that goes down the street wearing a black belt and punching and kicking people about. That is not the true martial artist. To me, a true martial artist is a person humble. It teaches you to control yourself in every form of aspect.
What had been the Gibraltar Kwai changed to the Budokai Martial Arts Centre with the introduction of Ju-Jitsu. Some big international martial arts tournaments followed, with Charlie's students going on to win many medals, including gold in Island Games and in Army Open Championships.
I think the special thing about Charlie, my dad, is that when he teaches, as far as I can remember when I was young, as last week or 2 weeks, the minute he steps into the judo club, for me personally, he transforms himself into a young person again, because his passion says it all. So when he teaches, you can see that coming through. And I think that helps the kids to engage immediately when you see someone so passionate after 50 so years.
and he's always enjoyed it. And he's never been one to rush to the media with his achievements. He's always been a very humble man, and that's one of the things that also strikes me about my father in all this. He's never been one to sort of self-promote himself or anything like that. He's just got on with it. And when you look back at what he's achieved, I think it's quite remarkable.
Although Judo and Ju-Jitsu has always been his passion, he loves martial arts. I mean, he did karate as well, and he has been influential not just to start Judo and Ju-Jitsu, but martial arts in general, because he works closely with other clubs. He's invited people from other styles to come here. The same will work with Taekwondo and all that. So he's definitely an ambassador for martial arts, just not in Gibraltar, but really in Europe.
Well, when I'm teaching in the classes, as you probably know, I am still teaching the children. I still run the classes. I always emphasize the fact that what they're learning in the club, they're not supposed to be doing it in the streets. Obviously, if there's a situation where it's really, necessary to do any form of martial art, he will use the minimum force to make sure he doesn't cause any injuries to himself or to the person that he's competing, fighting against.
The secret of that thing is patience. He's got a hell of a lot of patience, especially with the children.
I'm very proud to belong to this club, and it's an honor to have trained with him and his brother and all the students here.
You're always learning. Don't think you know it all. This means business of you getting the black belt and that's it. No, you learn, you're always learning. And that's something that you're teaching me, you're always learning.
The club, he still maintains largely on his own. He does the DIY, he does everything. So it's been, I wouldn't say a one-man show, because he's always had lots of people around him to help him, and we've also had lots of senior grades, and obviously his brother Peter Conroy, who's also a black belt, who has been, his rock has helped him a lot. But certainly he's taken a lot on board.
Just a very respectful and humble person. He's now an 8th dan. He could have been far more than that if he wanted to. He hasn't graded in years. It's not something that really matters to him. Like I said before, it matters just the martial art. So after so long, I think this achievement for him, it's kind of a fantastic way of saying thanks for everything that he's done, actually, for Gibraltar, community service that he's done for Gibraltar.
Charlie Conroy currently holds black belt 6th dan in judo and 8th dan in jiu-jitsu. He's dedicated countless voluntary hours to furthering martial arts locally. Today, many of his students are the grandchildren and indeed great-grandchildren of his original students. But there's no sign of him retiring anytime soon.
Well, quite honestly, no. And I'll tell you why. Because like everything else at every sport, things modernize and there's a lot of new things coming in, and I have to teach that. So I have to learn and then teach. So it means that it keeps me going all the time. So I don't think I'm at the moment thinking of retiring.
I think you can call him the father of martial arts in Gibraltar, and it's still going. So it's not something that's not a chapter, it's not something that's finished. He's still going with it, still going strong, and the plans are afoot now for some competitions in England next year, and I know there are things planned. So still very alive, still very active in the martial arts scene and in judo and jiu-jitsu, and therefore I think it's it's very well deserved for his determination and the discipline and the manner in which he's just got on with it for, as I say, nearly 55 years now.
He's always been an individual that's not really that much interested in individual medals, but achievements like this is something that will be very dear to his heart, and for him to reach after so long to get an achievement like this is something important, not just for him, but for us, the family, and obviously the club itself.
He started it all in Gibraltar. Obviously from there, there's been other clubs and it's grown. You've got different styles, karate, taekwondo, whatever. But he started everything here with the judo and the jiu-jitsu.
And I think it can be quite character building, and for the children who've come here, I think they've gained a tremendous amount. And had it not been for Charlie Conroy, that wouldn't have existed. And I think it's very, very good that Charlie is being recognised.
Charlie, as a person, is a wonderful person, kind-hearted, always willing to help everyone, and I only have good things to say about him.
Charlie, tonight, enjoy your moment. It's very much well deserved. And I only have to say to you, Charlie, thumbs up, well done.
I am delighted. I am really delighted. He deserves this and much, much more for everything he has done for sports in Gibraltar. Congratulations, Charlie. I'm very proud of you, and Gibraltar is proud of you.
He's still training. He's seen kind of new members come in. I think looking back at the history is something that he deserves, and something that I think I'm extremely proud and happy that he's got this incredible achievement for, which is not something that you win every day.
And knowing him, he will be very humbled but very honoured at receiving such an award, which definitely I think is very well deserved. I mean, as his son, I feel immensely proud. He's been an incredible role model.
It's well deserved, I reckon. It's very well deserved for, for my brother to get this award, and Charlie, I says, well done. Congratulations.
Well, I was surprised. I never expected this. I noticed there was something funny going on a few days back, because I saw a GBC camera in my club, and after that I noticed that I couldn't find my albums. My sons apparently took the albums for this purpose, and yes, it was a surprise.
So we tried to be as discreet as possible, but being a wise man, you were onto us. You knew that something was afoot.
I knew something was going on, but quite frankly, I didn't expect this. I was very surprised to see some of my old members from the club, like Michael Barnes, David Ben-Yunis, and Ricky Roda. I was really surprised. I really appreciate what they said about me.
Charlie, once again, on behalf of everybody at GBC and the Gibraltarian public, a huge congratulations.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
Real pleasure. Charlie Conroy, the father of martial arts in Gibraltar and recipient of the Lifetime Achievement Award at this week's GBC Sports Awards. Coming up in Part 2, Viewpoint speaks to international and local experts about the global trend towards increasingly ethical tax laws and the forecast increase in criminal cross-border investigations. Join the conversation online using the GBC Viewpoint hashtag and stay tuned. We'll be right back after a very short break.